Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the latest episode of the most entertaining podcast. I'm your host for this episode, Chaimberlain Bauder. Joining me today, TME regular Tobi. How we doing today?
Hey man, good to be back. How you doing, bro?
Hey, we're ready for another week. Had a lot of college soccer that I called yesterday. Got
Yep.
the true top and bottom. The most boring game of soccer I've ever watched in my life was at 11 a.m. And that's saying something because the team that was playing was in the national championship last year. Um,
Okay.
and then I got to see the first hat trick in my college that I worked for's history in 12 years. So, and
Oh.
it was from a left back. So that was pretty epic.
Oh.
Yeah. Fun weekend to go on. But as we get into it today, we're gonna do the top 5 series. Back to it, discussing strikers today from the Premier League. We
Yep.
already covered wingers, both left and right, and finally got to get down the middle with not just the number 9s, though. I think that's kind of the key thing as we talk about this. I feel like a lot of people in the world talk specifically number 9s when they talk about the striker position. That's not the only guy that plays striker anymore. It's not just a hold up position, but some of the
Yep.
best in the Prem definitely are still hold up guys. Before we get into that, though, we got to, of course, discuss our most entertaining game of the week for week 3. This week, it's Werder Bremen and Bayer Leverkusen, where it was a 6-goal thriller. You know, we love the goals to come in bunches. In Italy this week, where the most entertaining game, or actually, that was last week. My bad. Italy this week. We keep it moving. Italy this week, it was a 7-goal thriller. So we got to up the ante a little bit, with the next one. Juventus and Inter. An early contender also from Anu for the game of the season. Had
Mm-hmm.
everything that you could want from a big game. Lots of goals, dazzling wonder kid performance from Kenan Yidlitz. A rivalry between the Thurman brothers, culminating in both of them scoring, which, I mean, that just seems like a little bit of some sports voodoo that gets mixed into things, which if that's getting mixed into a game of the week, I feel like it definitely makes it a contender for game of the series. And finally, Puskás goal of the year contender to win the game. Of course, that along with our previous episodes will be linked in the description down below. So make sure you go check that out if you didn't hear our lists before on wingers, or if you want to check out those TME games of the week for the highlights. We like to not fully spoil everything for you here and really tee you up for it. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, we love those multi-goal games, don't we, Toby?
Absolutely. The game of the week, the Juve Inter, was definitely back to back. What I liked about it was like I think one thing about this season, and I think across sports, most of the organizers are giving us big games early on. They're not waiting to week 10, week 15. In the NFL and in the Premier League and even in the Serie A, we're seeing a lot of big games so early on. And and the fans all around the world, they love it. We love it. And it was a really, really fantastic game. Some really nice goals. Loads of goals from outside the box. I like that. A lot of the old style of soccer football is coming back. We're seeing the long throw-ins. We're seeing the long balls from defense straight into the attackers. We're seeing the goals from outside the box, and I'm really enjoying it. It's kind of a little bit of a throwback, but with the new style and everything, I think it was a fantastic game. Definitely, guys, go check it out. And of course, like you mentioned, the derby between the two brothers. Your dad was also watching the game, and both of them back to back, both goals. I know it was a very interesting conversation at home for the Thuram family. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
go check out the game of the week.
Yeah. Could you imagine? Do you think, my favorite thing to think about with those types of things happening in my head,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so like every family member, like when you walk in the door, you just get handed a jersey and you alternate as they all come in. Like you're not
You
allowed
gotta
to get
pick.
the same. Okay, you get this one. Here's this one. You get this one. And now we have like a 50-50 split. Or does everyone cut jerseys in half and get them custom designed to be both of them?
A half and a half jersey style, like a half and a half
Those are
scarf.
those are the coolest jerseys in the entire world. There's a
They're kind
lacrosse
of
mom that
cool.
has 4
Hmm.
kids. At one
Oh,
point, she had 3 in the league at one time, and she had a jersey made with 3. Like she had one half of it, and then the other half was like 2 quarter panels. It was
what I will say is like it's only
crazy.
cool for the moms. Like if it's like a mom trying to support her kids, I'm not mad at that. But like the thing about sports, we gotta put some partisan vibes into it. I kind of like the idea of like between the two brothers, maybe there's like a black sheep in the family. let's say everybody supports Marcus because he's the one really successful with Inter. And then, Farron, the younger brother that's the midfielder, he's not as successful as his brother in recent times. So he scored the second goal. His team won. So I'm thinking he gets to like give everybody the big one at Thanksgiving dinner this year. So let's see. We never know what it's like, but I'm sure most of the times, one thing I do like is that a lot of soccer players, football players, they have a very good home, very good family unit. Says Marcus is the problem kid, but one thing about the problem kid, they get the most love. It's very weird. I don't know why.
We do. Yes, we
Yeah.
do.
Bro, no, oh my God. But yeah, man, it was a fantastic game. You guys definitely should go check that out.
Of course, as we said, it's in the description linked down below. And as we keep on rolling, it is the top 5 strikers for each of us in the Premier League as we come into this season. So this is our thought process. I mean, obviously, we come up with whatever criteria for this. This is not your spending X amount of money on a striker for the next 5 years. This is playing right now for you. Like, they're going to go in tomorrow and play a game. This is who you want at striker. And with that, Tobi, I will let you start us off with number 5 on that list.
All right. Number 5 is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be me backing my team. And I wonder if most people would even have this guy in their top 5. I think it might be early to say. One thing I will say is that coming into the league, most people would have had him very, very high up in the 9s that they rate around the world. But I think now that he's in the Premier League, his game doesn't look as clean. It's a little rough around the edges, not the most visually appealing. But Victor Gyökeres for Arsenal is my 5th best striker in the Premier League. His record in Sporting Lisbon in the Portuguese league was fantastic. These numbers are very crazy numbers. This is like Haaland in Dortmund, obviously not as young, but though that kind of vibe with way more goals. 97 goals in 102 appearances cannot be laughed at. That's definitely someone that knows the back of the net. The question is, can he transition to the Premier League? The pace of the game, the smartness of the defenders, he has to think quicker now. He doesn't have, the luxury to be able to just relax. He has to be on his game, concentrated all 90 minutes. And that's what we have to wait and see. He's only played a handful of games for Arsenal, but he has 3 goals in the Premier League so far. And we're going into the 5th game week. And that's not bad at all. So, a lot to seek to come from him. And hopefully he can reach those heights to take us to where we need to go. So Victor Gyökeres is my 5th best striker in the Premier League.
The second that you said you were going to back your own team, I knew exactly where that one was going. And I hear you. So for me, as I listen to that, I don't want to be the guy that's going to say that like a guy won't be able to succeed. But if we need to play devil's advocate, which we always need to play a little bit of devil's advocate as I try to Mr. Miyagi a fly out of the air. I just think when we look back at the track that has been laid from the last 5 years of guys from Germany, Portugal, France, maybe Italy coming into the Premier League, it's a really hard turn. It's not just a physicality stepping up and being on time more. It's that because of needing to be on time more, your decision making gets tested. And I'm not saying that Gyökeres has bad decision making. I'm just saying based on prior, we were only going into the 5th game of the season, right? And it's like it's early.
Can he? Yeah.
Can he? But I think he can. Ultimate and short though presentation makes me worried, and I would slightly rather put a slightly more Premier League experienced player into the spot on my list. That's the reason that I ended up leaving him.
I think that's definitely valid. At the end of the day, the way that I always look at it is I'm thinking about like how good it can be, and knowing how good he was, if he was to emulate at least half of that in this league, that's definitely something to not scoff at. But I will be honest. Some of those touches in the first couple games, when he first started for us in the Premier League, I was a little bit like, I'm not loving. It's not as silky. Because at the end of the day, like with Arsenal, we've kind of known, we're used to having, players in the front line that are very silky, technical players who can able to play the ball, come short, and do all that fantastic, beautiful stuff. Gyökeres is in the traditional mold, but at the end of the day, the traditional mode for Arsenal hasn't been doing the job. So perhaps maybe this might be the thing that makes the difference to take us to where we need to go. but it's very likely that he might not be the guy. It could go either way. I think right now we're very much in that 50-50 stage where he could be very average for us or be an all-timer. We don't know yet. This year is going to be a big year for him. Let's wait and see,
Yeah, definitely. No question that he has the help around him to make him succeed. That's the thing, though, with the way that Arsenal team is set up. So at the same time, no excuses ultimately. Either go out there and prove it, or at the end of 1 year, you're going to know that it's not. He's just going to be an average number 9.
Agreed.
As we slide into my 5th spot, I don't have a number 9 in this position. I have a secondary striker in this position. And slightly along with your vein and vibe, I'm also sticking to my team a little bit with this one. The other caveat I should address, I know that I made it sound like right now guys that are playing, this is also like an if healthy 5. This is not like if a guy got injured at the beginning of this season, we're not docking him from this list for not playing right now. So with that said, I think you can probably figure out who I'm going with here. And we're going to take the former Wolves man in Mateus Cunha at the 5th spot. 17 games, 17 goals, 6 assists in all competitions last year for just over a goal every other game at about 0.63 for that output percentage. I just love the game that he offers at striker. And when I think about the other guys that are going to be on this list, he is the only one for me that is different from where the rest of this list is probably going to go. I also think, much like everybody that is a fan of Manchester United that talks about any United player on this list, the United effect is going to have to be taken into account as he plays through the season, because there is something to be said for how good a guy is and then not looking good in that system just for reason, for whatever reason. I know that's what the 5th spot's for, though, Anu. Don't you know?
That's a great point. Yeah, like if you're going to shoehorn your player in, where's the best place you can shoehorn them in without looking too crazy? Number 5. So.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely does have some bias to it and a shoe in, but my aspect to it this morning, I woke up and I said, this is a striker list. It isn't a number 9s list. Yeah. And that's how Cunha made it for me. We'll keep it on rolling now to that number 4 spot. And I think things will get a little bit more serious for both of us here now. Not to make light of our 5th picks. I think honestly, by the end of the season, either of them has the potential, just based on being the key strikers for their respective teams, like can have a really key season. But at the number 4 spot, Tobi, take it away.
Quickly before we jump into number 4 on the bias thing, I do see, it kind of is a little bit, but one thing about this is that those names aren't crazy to be on the list. In the top 10 list, no one's going to really scoff at them to be in number 6, number 7. Yep. So when you really cut it down, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think we're okay. We're not going to get too many judgments in the comments, I hope. But for number 4, he is like kind of similar to Cunha, but at least is a little bit more in the number 9 vein. He plays a lot of very straightforward number 9, but he's a very similar second striker kind of guy that could kind of be a left winger as well, but maybe an inside forward helping the attacker, to get those goals, get those assists. And I'm going with Ollie Watkins from Aston Villa. What's also interesting with Ollie Watkins, he's an Arsenal fan, so it's a little bit of connection over there for me. I was really hoping that we would get him in the January transfer window of 2025. When we needed to be able to clutch up and try and make that last push versus Liverpool. Unfortunately, we decided to do a low ball offer with Aston Villa. Didn't accept it, and I don't blame him either. But at the same time, he's still a talented guy. He scores a lot of goals for Villa. I think he was one of those guys when he came up with Villa. I think he was previously at Brentford, moved to Villa. He was one of those English strikers that don't get a lot of respect. I think one thing that's cool about today is that a new Premier League English number 9 is going to get more respect than they did 5 years, 10 years ago. And I think guys like Ollie Watkins, Harry Kane, they changed Ivan Toney, they changed the perception of English 9s at least more in the league. Because obviously it felt to a point, and I think a lot of people would say this, where the Premier League is a very international league. You got players from all over the world. But more and more now, we're seeing a lot more English players get the respect and given a chance to perform. And I think, guys like Ollie Watkins definitely did that. I think it's definitely a really big star for Villa. He's had issues, I think, with him and the manager, Unai Emery, in, the last couple, maybe season and a half. Where, they had John Duran and they were picking John Duran ahead of him John Duran ended up leaving Villa, and then they brought Rashford, and they were picking Rashford ahead of him as well. So I know Ollie Watkins has that issue with the manager trying to push him, but he at the same time saying that, hey, I'm your guy. I've been the one that's done so much for this club. I should be the guy with the starting position in the number 9. And the goals are there to back up his game. He's definitely an elite player that gives a lot of goals, a lot of assists, and any solid, functioning, healthy attacking unit would do with an Ollie Watkins. Maybe in the biggest teams around the world, he might not be a starter, but he is an amazing rotation option off the bench. I could see Ollie Watkins performing in a team like Arsenal, in a team like Chelsea, in a team like Spurs, in a team like even someone like Bayern Munich off the bench. He has that versatility, and he's a good hard worker for the team. So Ollie Watkins in number 4 for me.
Trust me, you don't have to sell me on Ollie Watkins. You just have to sell everybody else on him. I rate assists personally. That's just for me. Like, it's like what we talked about with the Ballon d'Or conversation with when you're knocking in assists. Like, think about how many more you would have had if all of those attempts get scored, right? Like different things like that. I love the pick there for you. Almost undersold him there. I would
almost honestly. There's even more I could have said about him.
Yeah, you were bordering the line. Don't worry, we'll get to it in time.
Yes, sir.
In time. We'll keep it on rolling with my number 4 pick on this list. I'm going with the old reliable man who holds 2 Premier League clubs single season goal records in Chris Wood. 20 goals last season. I mean, ultimately the only reason that I have him this low on the list is because he's putting up one of those, like, what feels like an anomaly season that I don't want to completely, like, expect the same from him the next year. But at the same time, a 20-goal season from a Premier League striker who's, I don't think, ever had not double-digit goals in a season. Like, yeah, he's got to be top 5, right? He in 40 games last year had 20 goals and 3 assists. All of his goals came in the Prem, though. Interesting note to take there. He did not score in any extra competitions despite playing in them. But really it was just FA Cup. But still, yeah, all of them came in the Prem. But he is the epitome of that. Like, he's won the hold-up play, but just being a big guy and knowing where to position himself inside the 18 to not only put himself in the best situation, but, like, the key thing when you're a number 9 in the box is positioning yourself to not take away from your wingers or from your center back, getting deep enough, playing that line, everything like that. And I mean, he's basically what kids should just watch if they really want to play 9. Like, honestly, if you're sitting there and you're like, my skill at my feet can get better, but I'm not the fastest. I'm a lanky. Like, if you're like me, I'm not fast, I'm not strong, but I'm 6'2" and I have a big forehead. So what does that mean? Watch Chris Wood play soccer. It's just like it's true. And ultimately your coach might try to tell you that you should play center back and only use those skills on a corner kick, but you should try it. But yeah, I think Chris Wood, I think our 3 and 4 might just be flip-flopped here. But
let me actually jump in on Chris Wood. And I think I'm so happy that you brought him up, and I feel really bad that I don't have him on my list. I didn't put Chris Wood on my list. That's a big oversight for me. Yeah, because he definitely deserves the respect. Scoring 20 goals at Nottingham Forest. At the beginning of last season, people were probably putting Nottingham Forest as like a bottom half side. And I think his goals gave them such a drive that at a point, they weren't contented to make the Champions League. And with a little bit of luck, they would have been in the Champions League spots come the end of the season. And I think that's something you can never go against. Any striker that's not in any team, any striker that's not in like a top 6, top 8 that gets 20 goals, that's an amazing performance in the Premier League season. And so good that I think there were even shouts for him to be in the team of the season. And I wholeheartedly accept that and agree with that. Like the producer said, an old-fashioned number 9. And I think that's one of the things about a number 9 that he platforms, like you were mentioning. His game is so helpful for the rest of the team because he gives them a platform to build and get space and move forward together. And he's also very, very clinical. You cannot give Chris Wood the same header. Like, if you give him the same chance for the header 3 times, he's going to score one of them. And I think the thing about most of these 9-star and smaller teams, they have a lack of opportunity to score because their teams are usually playing like a low block or having to like defend and might not be the most attacking. They don't get as much opportunity. So that means like, and I think Nottingham Forest style was last season was very counter-attacking when they still had Nuno Espirito Santo. Like, so they were definitely a team where like, okay, we receive possession and we go for the counter and we want to be clinical on the counter. So that means he had to be a top finisher all year last year. So yeah, I'm so glad that you put him on. And like he definitely needs to be in my honorable mentions list. But yeah, Chris Wood was fantastic last year. And we're looking forward to him to see what he can do if we can emulate that level of goals this year as well.
He's already got 2. So starting off
Right
on essentially pace pretty much is
absolutely
as close as you can get through as short of a season as we've actually gotten into at this point.
Yeah.
So we've got Wood and Watkins. We'll keep it on rolling to the 3 spot where we're going to see some slight rollover continuity. So actually, I'll go first here real quick. I have Ollie Watkins at my 3 spot.
Nice.
I like it's someone in the comments is going to be like, you have a guy who literally couldn't get starting minutes at striker and your 3rd best striker in the Premier League spot from last season. Yes, because that guy's now at Barcelona. 1, 2, I'm biased and I can say that. But 3, I said it to you when you brought him up. I rate assists so highly, and no other striker in the Premier League is even remotely close. Like
True.
not even a
little bit.
João Pedro at 6 last year. Ollie Watkins in the Prem had 8 and then had another 6 in other competitions.
Amazing.
Like he ended up, the other thing too, he played so many games. Like he played 54 games. He played 7 more games than the next highest guy on my list of games played last season. Which at the end of the day, when we always talk about like availability through a season, right? It is a talent. When you play in that many games, it's a talent, 100%. And that's just, and it's his play is different ultimately than, the other guys on this list. Like I say, he is more of a number 9 than Cunha is, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, he's not just a hold up forward. But I just can't knock 14 assists in all competitions out of a top 3 spot, especially when it's like so much dominantly more than anybody else at his position in the Premier League.
I think that's totally valid. I love it.
Now I'll let you give us your 3rd so you can excite us a little bit more and give us a new name.
I'm thinking, because now that I've realized who your 3rd is, I don't think my 3rd is on your list at all. I could be wrong, but
your 3rd, I don't think your 3rd is on my list.
Yeah, so I am going with another like old school vibe striker, and I'm loving him because of the feeling that he gave me last season in the Premier League. When he scores, he run over to the corner flag, kick the corner flag, and the crowd goes boom. That's Jean-Philippe Mateta, and that's my 3rd best striker in the Premier League. And I think the thing about Mateta is like, we've seen a lot of these kind of strikers. Remember the Benteke's of the world. I'm probably forgetting another striker that was also in Benteke's era that kind of played for these middle. Yeah, Lukaku. But Lukaku was part of the top 6
when he was at Everton.
Yeah, when he was at Everton. So you are right. He did have his era. But a lot of these guys don't get to take it to the next level where they go past that mid-table side. Benteke couldn't make that jump into a big team. Obviously now he's in America now, playing in the MLS and doing a great job there. But the thing about JP Mateta is that I saw him come into the game and I saw him as that kind of striker who's like, okay, he's at a smaller club. He's not going to get that many chances. Maybe he might do 8 to 12 Premier League goals per season, and that's not too bad. And he's way more than that. And I think the thing about him is that he has this feeling. I don't like using this word because it's very like social media, but there's this kind of aura about him in the box. And when he gets a chance, that you just feel like, yo, he's going to get you a goal. And like regardless of the opposition, regardless of the style of play, he's very clinical. He's very unorthodox with the way he tries to finish. But his mindset is always like, yo, what can I do with my body, with my tools to get this ball into the back of the net? And I always go off of like the feeling and the impact a player's goals have given me. I don't think he scored too many times against Arsenal, but I think Crystal Palace had a big season last year. They were able to win the FA Cup, which was a big deal for their club. They haven't won a trophy in tons of years. I don't know. I think people were saying this was their first trophy. I think this might be the first big trophy in like probably almost 80 plus years. I think they've probably won other things in their history. But for a club like in generations or two generations not to see a trophy, what Jean-Philippe Mateta, guys like Eberici Eze, guys like Oliver Glasner, what they've done for Crystal Palace is huge. And Mateta was a big part of that because he gives the team so much confidence because they know with Jean-Philippe in attack, we got a chance to score today. That was their first ever trophy. Amazing for Crystal Palace, right? So, like, to be one of those guys, to bring that kind of history to a club, that's a big deal. And I think the reason why I wanted to put Jean-Philippe Mateta on this list is that if he was at a bigger club, which, produces much more opportunities in the box to score, he will score more goals. So, yeah, I just like him a lot. I like his vibe. I love his mustache. He's just a cool guy, in the attack, man. I respect his game a lot. So, yeah, number 3 is Jean-Philippe Mateta.
I love that pick. He's my 6 technically. He's my honorable mention pick on my list. Like first name that didn't make it. As in he would have been on there if he was on there when I woke up this morning. Yeah. Yeah, we're in it. He was on my list when I woke up this morning before I said, "Nah, I want Cunha on there." But ultimately, yeah, I totally hear it. I was going to make the argument and then you like rebutted the argument perfectly because you brought up, imagine if he was on a better team and I was about to be like, well, yeah, now let's see what happens when he doesn't have everybody else around him. Like,
yeah,
at the same time, send him to like Chelsea and.
I would love that. Would be a nice Chelsea striker right there.
Right?
Shades of like Jimmy Floyd, Hasselbank, that kind of vibe.
Yeah,
he would get loads of goals for them. He would get loads of goals for Chelsea.
Yeah, I think we have some serious continuity when we get into our 2s and 1s here, Toby. I am intrigued to see if there's any chance that we have them in a reversed order, though.
No way.
I don't think that you can. I think it would be disrespectful to have them in a reversed order. But I will let you take it away first here, Toby.
Right. It'll be funny if my number 2 is totally different. I actually want to make another honorable mention. The reason why I want to make this honorable mention is in case this guy is your number 2, because I would totally understand that. Because like we said this earlier, right? This is not a number 9's list. This is a best, striker list. And the striker isn't just the guy that plays number 9. He's the winger. That's the inside forward. And I didn't put this man on my list because, we've had him on 2 lists so far already. We had him on the Ballon d'Or list and the best right wingers list. So honorable mention is Mohamed Salah. Because, traditionally, like, he might not be the number 9 the way people think, but he is a striker for your team. 4-4-2, Salah could be that number 2 striker. He comes in a lot. Obviously, he also does the touchline winger thing, but no one can say that he doesn't have the tools to operate as a second striker. More and more, everyone is seeing it in his game. Like, the way he uses his brain to think, in terms of, like, processing and trying to produce plays. The goal that he scored, that Liverpool scored yesterday versus Everton, where I think he's the one that made the assist to Gravenberg. A first time play to Gravenberg. Gravenberg goes for the volley over the goalie. Another fantastic assist from Salah. I just love the way, like, as the ball is coming, because he doesn't like wait too long. He plays the pass immediately he receives it. He knows what he wants to do. He can see the play developing. And a lot of times with wingers in the Premier League, we want to hold the ball, move the defender a little bit to the right, move him a little bit to the left, come back inside and pass it. Like, Salah's game is like, I need to keep the ball moving fast. I don't want to give them time to set their defense and wait. So honorable mention, Mo Salah. My number 2 is going to be Alexander Isak. And what's interesting about Isak is, like, I feel there is a little bit of recency bias with the way people are evaluating his game. He had a fantastic season last season. And I think the reason why people have some over the course of the summer because of the transfer saga, I heard a few people saying Isak's the best striker in the world. And I'm telling you, I did hear that on radio shows, on socials, like, and I do see that, but that's a lot of recency bias. And I think the reason why people said that because of his performance was more than people expected. He got big goals against Arsenal. He got goals against Liverpool. He helped Newcastle win a first trophy in decades with the Carabao Cup. So he had a super successful, shiny new toy syndrome for sure. But I won't take away from his game in the sense that, like, Isak was another guy that, we like his highlight clips from when he was in Real Sociedad. He's looking cool. The ball is silky. He's got a couple good goals. But we didn't think of him as a striker that's going to give you 25, 20 Premier League goals consistently. Obviously, going off of last season, he has that in him. The question is, can he consistently do that? And that's what it's going to mean for him with Liverpool moving forward. I'm not really too sure what Isak's trajectory is gonna be. I'm not a fan of how he left, Newcastle. But at the end of the day, I'm not involved with any of those two clubs in terms of like as a fan or whatever. So maybe I don't need to have so many feelings about it. But in general, I think he definitely has an amazing game. A very technical player, very silky, great goals. He has an amazing shot. Like his shot power is crazy. Great headers as well. Great play in terms of combination. So a lot to his game, and he's very silky on the ball in terms of dribbling. I think in terms of all the strikers on our list, the people that are most alike Thierry Henry, my greatest attacker ever, would be Isak and Ollie Watkins. Both of them have shades of his game. Ollie Watkins with the assist, Isak with the general style of play. I think he's a little bit taller, but the way he holds the ball to his feet and dribbles, very very like Thierry Henry esque with the finishes sometimes. So Alexander Isak, my number two. Hopefully he's successful with Liverpool, but not too successful. Okay, it's my turn to win some trophies. Not gonna lie. So I'm gonna just leave that there.
Anybody other than Liverpool and Man City, honestly. But I 100% agree with you on second pick. It is Alexander Isak. I do not have Mo Salah on this list. Don't worry. He is ultimately. It's the same reason that I at one point was thinking about guys like the random like Cody Gakpo, Diaz, like anybody from Liverpool, because they all have played striker at some point last season, right?
Yeah.
So like, and then I was like, no, because I just personally didn't want to include a guy that we already had on another list in another position. But in that same sense, like Salah's obviously amazing, but they have another 20 plus Prem goal scorer on their team, and that is Alexander Isak. And I think this is where him being easy number two at the minimum is it's not even a conversation. Like, yes, the recency bias is 100% there. And we'll get into that more when we get to number one. And it's exactly what Anu said. It's that shiny new toy syndrome. It's just the fact that he was on the market. Like literally, if he wasn't on the market, those statements wouldn't have come out. But when you are at the end of the day, the best striker on the market, everybody just says you're the best striker in the world because you're the only one that's available, because the other guy is so good that nobody ever even thinks that there's a possibility he could leave. But when we look at the statistical numbers of it, in 42 games last season in all competitions for Isak, he had 27 goals, 6 assists. For reference, in a comparison of goals per game on that kind of 1 point scale again, my 5, 4, and 3 average about 59% on that scale of like 100% being a goal game. They're at 59.
Okay.
Isak's at 78.
A level above.
That is like 20% better than 3 on this list. And so 23 goals in the Prem. It's that technique of like the fact too of just like I get past the ball, let me touch it one time with my foot. Okay, now I'm in a shooting position.
Yeah.
Like that is a skill that is never quantifiable at any point. Just like being able to line up the eyes and the heel at any given moment. And he's just like, yep, soft touch, here it is.
Banger. Okay. Yeah, that's what Gyökeres is missing in his game. That's the one thing that sets Isak apart. That first touch and then opening up for the shot. He's so Yeah. But honestly, a very fitting number 2. Yeah, extremely. Oh yeah, he cut him up. I remember that one. He left a couple people on the ground. And even when he was in recent, like in the last international break, there was a clip of him playing for Sweden. I didn't know if it was they made it seem like it was one of the games that did play during the international break, but it could have been a previous game. But he was doing some crazy things in the box. And this was someone that did not have a lot of training because of the whole transfer saga. So he was just having a good time. So, like people really underestimate how good of a dribbler and skillful these strikers are, these players are, these professional football players are. But Isak is crazy, not going to lie. Top player, man. I would have loved him at Arsenal. But I'm only going to say that for the pod. Obviously, now Team Gyökeres, I don't need him. I got my Swedish striker. I'm good over here. All right, I'm good. I don't need him.
Love that for you, Toby. Well, I think it's then pretty blatantly obvious who number 1 is. And I think we both have to just like, actually, you know what? No, he's so good you don't even say it begrudgingly. Like
Yeah.
at the end of the day, this man only gets compared to himself. Like that's the only statistical comparison that exists for the number one best striker or center forward in the Premier League. And Toby, who is it?
Gabriel Jesus. No, oh, sorry. Wrong video, wrong video. And I'm not even trying to. Yeah, I knew that was gonna be funny, but now you're laughing a little bit too much, bro. And here's the thing, bro. I love DJ. He was supposed to be the guy to come into Arsenal and be my new R9, so I had to give him a little bit of some props. Obviously, it didn't work out. It's not working out, but I had to. I knew that was gonna be. Yeah, DJ slander is tough, bro.
That hit so funny though. No, that was a great smack. That was
I was starting that all episode. I was looking for the right times to throw that one in there. I was thinking about that all 30 minutes we've been on. I'm like, when do I throw in my Gabriel Jesus little line right there? But I love him. He was supposed to be my R9. A fit Gabriel Jesus, a fit and firing Gabriel Jesus, top 5 for me. But I don't think we're ever gonna see it, unfortunately. It just does. Sometimes sport doesn't work out. And apologies to the City fans. You know I was kidding. You know it's Erling Braut Haaland. The guy is a machine. You know, what can we say? I just want to just remind guys about the goal he scored in the Champions League recently, where he chipped the keeper with a first-time header. Oh my God. Oh my God. The guy is crazy. And like for a little bit last year, he didn't have a great year. People were like, oh my God, Erling Haaland had a poor season. With 20 plus Premier League goals, he had a poor season. Crazy, right? You know? And like I saw a stat that like, oh, this is Erling Haaland's worst start to the Premier League season. He's only scored 4 goals in 5 games. What are we talking about right now, bro? This is how good of a striker he is. We have an all-timer right now. This is someone that's on course to break the goal scoring record that Alan Shearer has. I think it's 266 Premier League goals or 269, a number like that. Obviously, Erling has over 100 right now, and he's on course. But the question is, will he stay in the league that long? 2 years ago, when they were at he's so good he gets compared to himself. 2 years ago, when he was at the peak of his powers in terms of like everyone was clearly all saying Erling is the guy. I was always saying, okay, yo, can Barcelona or Real Madrid get this guy out of my league? Like, it's too much. It's too much. He's too inevitable. It's too scary.
It is.
But yeah, go ahead.
I just think that I mean, to kind of add on to what you're saying right there, like this man has basically averaged a goal contribution a game in the Premier League. Like as a player, he had, like you said, a down season last year, and he was the 3rd leading goal scorer of forwards of strikers in the Prem. Like, and he's playing in the Champions League. Yeah. That's 22 goals were in the Prem last year. He had 34 goals in all competitions in 5
down season, man. That's a poor Erling season, right there.
Yeah, and for reference, yes, a down Erling Haaland season is 0.83 on that 1.0 scale that we talked about before.
Wow,
he's still higher than Isak with a down season. Like,
and that's how you know we have an all-timer right now. The question is, will he stay in the league long enough to be able to break these records?
I think he is honestly on a pace right now that if he ever thinks about leaving, all someone will have to do is tell him how close he is. That's also a valid point.
Interesting. And the thing is that I felt like this might be Pep's last season. I can't really gauge Pep. Obviously, no one can really gauge Pep. He can say what he wants to say in the media. He can be very funny with his outfits and his jokes and his sarcasm, but we can't really tell what's on the man's mind. You know, I kind of feel like, oh, this might be the last season with Pep. Maybe he might be waiting for the end, for like the outcome of the 115 charges. We don't really know what's happening there. But like once Pep and Erling leave this league, I'm gonna be celebrating. The damage you guys have done is enough. I've been through enough.
Don't say you guys. I'm a United fan. I'm feeling burdened by it. Are you kidding me? And then they decide this year that, like, yeah, so we have like the cyborg, the greatest guy at the end of the day right now in all of soccer, the best striker. And then we're also going to get the best shot stopper in the world.
Insane. Very, very scary.
For $26 million. I hate you, Man City. God, why? Why do they have to do it? It's just not.
It's crazy.
Cool, it's really
the next thing they're gonna do now is that they already have. I don't know what's gonna happen with Rodri. Maybe they can bring him back to his best. Because imagine, Rodri at his best, that's a Ballon d'Or guy. You got Erling, you got Donnarumma. We just need an all-timer center back to join their team. And City already looks scary. We can't discount them or think they're not in the race. Today's game versus Arsenal is going to be a huge, super, super big game for City's ambitions. If they can win, get those 3 points, they're going to make a definite shout to the rest of the league that, we're not done. We're still here. And, no one can go into any game versus City thinking that they have the upper hand. Quote unquote, Arsenal might be the favorites going into the game off of like record and recent form, but Manchester City can damage and defeat anybody. There's no team too big for Man City to defeat. And Erling, he's playing the best. I think from the short performances I've seen from him this year, when I say short performances, like small sample size of games we've seen so far, I feel like his game is improving. I'm liking what I'm seeing in terms of his all-round game with defensive support, making runs, his hold-up play, connecting with the team in the midfield. It's improving game by game, year on year from when Erling first joined the league, because people were definitely doubting his game the way they're doubting Gyökeres's game. Not to say they're at the same level, but Erling did have some negative comments about his game not being the cleanest, most technical game. And I can see those improvements on it. So it's very nice to see that the big guy, 6 foot plus striker, he's not going to be that delicate Sandy Carzola, he can turn on a dime in the midfield. He's not that guy, but his tech is definitely improving. And it's nice to see, what Erling can do. He's going to have a fantastic career. He's one of them guys now that I feel like I need to be watching more and more of his games, because I think we have a Ballon d'Or winner on our hands with Erling Haaland.
I think it's one of those things where, like, when you look back and think about it, you're just kind of like we talked about that Ballon d'Or discussion, and obviously him having his down year, he doesn't end up in it. Is Erling Haaland like so good that he's talked about in such a different category that people are like, well, yeah, he's just Haaland, so we're not going to give him the Ballon d'Or. Like, he just does that. It's not impressive. He just does that. Like, they expect it. Kind of thing.
It's unfair.
Like, it shouldn't be, which is just crazy. Did you hear the quote from Rodri after his? They were like, "Are you going to come back to that Ballon d'Or form?" And he was like, "I'm not Messi." That was what he said,
like, bro. Like, that was an anomaly, bro. That was a one-timer.
He's like, that just happened. I'm not Messi. Like, that's not how this works, which is really funny. But no, that game is going to be really awesome just to see Erling Haaland face that center back partnership. Easily right now the best center back partnership in the Prem.
Absolutely, man. The best. It's gonna be a crazy game.
Yeah, it will be absolutely awesome. Anything else on these top 5 before we finish it off here, Tobi?
Overall, I'm just gonna say I'm loving the way football is right now. There was a point where people were talking about we don't need the 9 anymore. The false 9 is okay. We don't need that striker. But now it's coming back into the game, and I like the fact that we're seeing that again. I'm loving football. I'm enjoying the season, and there's gonna be more leagues to come. But yeah, I'm very happy. Well, we put together a good list. I do like the fact we had a lot of names on both of our lists that all were able to get some respect and some like props. So yeah, solid from us. Cheers to us, you and I. Good job, guys. Good job, guys.
Love it. Yeah, no, I completely hear what you're saying. That like it feels like we have more younger players that have learned to play the position of the number 9. So it's not all of these teams in the Prem just going, oh, let me go sign some 30-year-old out of Germany that like spent 3 years in the Prem when he was 25 and knows how to play hold up, like or a Weghorst.
I was about to say, I feel like you were.
That's dude, that yeah. But it's nice to see these like genuinely developmental players that are like, I don't just want to be a winger, which is what it felt like for a really long time. It was just like everybody wanted to be a winger because everybody wanted to be Cristiano or Leo, and it's just like, no, guys, there's 11. I mean, there's more than 11 positions on the field. Like, there's more than one way to play the game. And so, yeah, I love where it is at. I totally hear you on that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Please like the video if you enjoyed this and let us know your opinions in the comments. Of course, subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of our next episode where we'll be discussing the state of the Premier League after the first 5 games. Have a great week, everyone.